Please stay standing. It's my great joy to welcome all of you and everyone who's tuning in from around the world to our Self-Realization Fellowship International Convocation 2025. I would like us to begin with a prayer. And all of those of you who are tuning in from afar, please stand with us. We need to stand together in times like this. Please. Please fold your hands and close your eyes, and we will begin with an invocation to our lineage. Heavenly Father, Mother, friend, beloved God, Jesus Christ, Bhagavan Krishna, Mahavatar Babaji, Lahiri Mahashai, Swami Sri Yukteswar, our Guru, Paramahansa Yogananda, saints of all religions, we bow to you all. O beloved God, together we stand. With one voice we pray. O beloved God, unify our hearts with your divine love. Infuse us with your divine strength. Always bless us as we face the challenges of life. Fill us with your ever-new joy. O beloved God, may thy love shine forever on the sanctuary of our devotion. And may we be able to awaken thy love in all hearts. Om. Peace. Amen. Now, please be seated. I have a welcome letter from our esteemed president, Brother Chidanandaji. Very dear ones, my loving greetings to each of you. Those who are present here in the Bonaventure Hotel, and those who are joining us by live stream video from all over the world. In the name of our revered Guru, Paramahansa Yogananda, a heartfelt and joyous welcome to you all. These world convocations of Self-Realization Fellowship were started by our Guru 75 years ago this year, in 1950. What a joy it is to see how Paramahansaji's far-seeing vision for convocation has grown exponentially, so that now, with online interactive participation available, we are able to come together as a truly worldwide united spiritual family in a vast, wall-less temple. A temple filled with the tangible presence of God and our blessed lineage of masters. As part of our opening program this evening, I have asked Brother Satyananda to officially release a major new SRF publication. This is volume 4 of Paramahansa Yogananda's collected talks and essays. It's titled, Solving the Mystery of Life. It is a joy to share this inspirational treasure with you as we start convocation together. You can find it in our convocation book room or order it online. Dear ones, I look forward to joining you in person on Wednesday morning for our long meditation, and again for our Friday evening program. In the meantime, I urge you to consciously set aside the preoccupations of daily life and enter this week of transformative spiritual renewal with a hope-filled, receptive heart and mind. My prayer for each of you is that you find during this convocation a newly awakened and supercharged conviction that you are welcomed and cherished in the sacred refuge of our Guru's teachings, in the sacred refuge of our Guru's love. May the blessings of this special dispensation of these Kriya Yoga teachings sent by God to guide and spiritualize our awakening global civilization deepen your own divine communion and your awareness of your true, eternal, immortal self, one with God. Jai Guru, Brother Chidananda. Let us give Brother G a Jai Guru. So, solving the mystery of life. That appeals to me because I came on my spiritual search to Self-Realization Fellowship with a lot of questions. Life was a mystery that I wanted to solve, and this has 39 new lectures and inspirations to inspire and instruct us. One example is expanding your consciousness for all-round success. I like the connection between expanded consciousness and success. The art of right action. The divine art of erasing age and creating vitality. The art of erasing age. I think I can use that. And I see some of you out there who could also use it as well. At the temple, we started a fellowship group for those over 60, and we called it Seniors Fellowship Group, and nobody joined. So I changed the name, and I called it The Immortals. And now everybody wants in. The young adults say, "What about me?" And I say, "You wait your turn." Solving the mystery of life. I have a quote from Paramahansaji. It's from the title talk, Solving the Mystery of Life. It's a little bit of a spoiler, but I think you're ready for it. Guruji says, "The peace of my life is apart from anything going on around me. The peace of my life is apart from anything going on around me. That is the way I have solved the mysteries of life." This is part of our theme going forward for tonight. What does it mean exactly? The peace of my life is apart. That means separate from everything going on around me. He's making a separation between what is going on within him and what is going on in the world all around him. It's a declaration of inner freedom from outer conditions. Guruji's inner peace of heart and mind is constant and with God. It's not fluctuating with changing conditions of life. This seems like a simple statement, but actually it's quite profound. Because we are human. If outer conditions are favorable, then we're happy. If people around us are in conflict, we are defensive and maybe angry. We are always reacting to what's going on around us, and our consciousness is changing. If events around us seem unjust or unfair, we may feel insulted or even feel cheated. But the ancient science of Raja Yoga says to us, do not depend on ever-changing outer conditions to define your inner experience. So we want to avoid the insecurity imposed by the world, We want to discover a secret joy within ourselves, sourced in the soul, and then train ourselves to draw from the secret inner resource. And following this guidance, we can live a more dynamic, fulfilling life. Our life can become truly a spiritual adventure. The peace of my life is apart from anything going on around me. And he makes an even stronger declaration. He says, no matter where I am, the joy of God is always with me. We need that. Wherever I am, no matter where I am, the joy of God is always with me. You know, I like these anthologies. This is number 4 in the series. We have 3 others. And they are collections of Sunday services, satsangs that the Guru has given, many of them during the 1930s and 1940s. And one thing I really like about this unique collection is the date stamp. The date stamp just under the title, because this tells us when he spoke those words. We tend to think that the Guru was giving his teachings in some kind of a magical vacuum. Not so. So, no matter where I am, the joy of God is always with me. Let's put this quote into context. These words were spoken February 18th, 1940, in Encinitas, in a Sunday service at the Golden Lotus Temple. February 18, 1940, you can look up this date in history. World War II was ramping up. There were major maritime battles in the North Atlantic. People were starting to feel the impact of global warfare. It was in the news everywhere. It was in the news on this particular weekend in February 1940. At home, Master was starting to feel the possible threat of the bluffs along the coast of Encinitas becoming unstable. And there was concern that he could possibly lose his flagship temple. All this was going on when he spoke those words. No matter where I am, the joy of God is always with me. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? The courage that it takes to be able to hold on to and exude this joy of God as your primary inner experience in the face of all these outer challenges. This is quite a declaration. It's very impressive. And throughout the 1930s and the 1940s, Guruji continued offering very high-level messaging at a dramatically low period in world history. He came for that mission, and his heart and mind were set on that. So seek and experience the inner joy of God in spite of all adversity around you. This is what we're aiming for. This is our target here in this session. This is what the conversation is about. And even more than that, you can do it. And that's what we want to demonstrate here tonight. Guruji says, God is ever new joy. This joy is omnipresent. Feel your oneness with that joy. It resides within you, and it encompasses infinity. So he's speaking an absolute truth. It's an absolute truth that this joy of God is within us now. And he's saying, feel it. Feel your oneness with that joy. Without excuse, without compromise. Concentrate on that, cultivate it. So this is both a promise and a challenge. And tonight, we want to ask the question, how does an illumined avatar face the challenges of life? And, very important, how can we do the same? So this is our spiritual adventure tonight, and I think you'll enjoy it because I'm teaching primarily through stories. Let's hear the voices first of our first generation disciples. those who shared the adventure of life with him. We'll start with a forest walk, a walk in the woods in the mountains of Southern California, walking with our late president, Sri Dayamata, and her very beautiful, noble sister, Anandamata. They were longtime loyal disciples of our Guru and at the heart of the Self-Realization Fellowship work for many decades. I happened to be up in the mountains looking in on them as they were taking a retreat in the mountains, and they called and asked for some food items, some staples, some groceries, and I went to the market, and then I came over to their retreat house, and I put the things away in the kitchen, and they were getting ready to go for a walk. And Dayama looked at me and she said, "Would you like to come with us?" Dream come true. I said, "Yes, Ma, thank you very much." And so there I was walking down a quiet forest road, solitary, all alone, Dayamata on one side and Anandamata on the other. And we were walking very quietly, listening to the birds and looking up at the trees and the sun sifting through the branches. We walked in silence for a while, and then Dayama, as she was walking, she looked at me and she said, "Do you have any questions, dear?" I hadn't had any questions on my mind, but it came up when she asked that I did have kind of a long-term pondering. And so I thought, well, now's the time. I said, "Well, Ma, yes. As a disciple, I'm a man. And my guru was also a man. And I've often wondered, what was Guruji like as a man?" And she stopped. Nandama stopped, we all stopped, and she looked at me and she said, "I can answer that with one word. Intrepid." Intrepid? I didn't expect that. Intrepid, of course, is, willingness to, engage with dangerous challenges and doing so with enthusiasm. It's about as close to fearlessness as you can come in the human body. And she said, your guru was intrepid. And Anandama was there, and she smiled, and she said, "You have no idea what it's like to live with someone who is fearless." She was smiling. And Dayama also smiled. You could tell that they were reminiscing at the same time as they were engaging in conversation. And Dayama said, anything he put his mind to, he would do it. And Anandama added, especially if someone said he couldn't do it. And they laughed and they laughed. And I got caught up in the laughter. And here we were, these three, disciples, senior and junior, laughing alone in the forest. It's a wonderful experience and a wonderful memory. And then Dayama turned to me and gave me my closing quote. She said, "My dear, as a man, your guru lived life with a joyful fearlessness. It was contagious." These are the words and memories of first-generation disciples. Joyful fearlessness. I think that's beyond intrepid. Feeling joy of God within you while you're engaged in challenging endeavors. Wouldn't we all love to live life this way? Our Guru is saying it's not only possible, it's our destiny. To live today without anxiety for tomorrow. This is the spiritual adventure of life. And Guruji says in the Self-Realization Lessons, number 15, learn to perform all your duties with deepest happiness, with courageous cheerfulness welling up from within you. A cheerfulness that comes from within you, independent of outer conditions. This is Supreme Yoga. And it's really a very lofty teaching. These are the Guru's words and how his disciples remember him. So another story. From the forest of California to the forests of Bengal, India. We all know from the autobiography of a yogi that in 1936, Paramahansa Yogananda took a trip to India, and he did it in style. He did it in a four-door V8 convertible 1935 Ford sedan, the ultimate touring car of the decade. And he, took the ship and the car over to Europe, and then they drove through Europe. His disciple, young man Richard Wright, was driving and navigating. So we can picture Richard Wright driving and Master riding in the front seat, and devotees and luggage, and the top is down, and they're cruising through Europe, all the way down to the Mediterranean, to the Holy Land, and then taking a ship across to India, where they landed on the western coast. And then they drove across the continent. And Richard Wright gave a couple of satsangs or talks of his experiences with Master to the monks some time ago. He's passed now. But he said that it was quite an adventure traveling with Master. He said, I would plan out my day very carefully, and I'd have it all mapped out, and then Master would say, turn here. And the interesting thing is that as he was driving through Europe and different countries, he would be making connection with future disciples, and he already knew where they were. And when they got to Bengal, Master wanted to visit a saintly woman. We know the story, her name Giribala, which means daughter of the mountain in Sanskrit. She lived in a very remote village in the northern part of Bengal, and Master was determined that he was going to drive the Ford car through the wilderness of northern Bengal to visit Giribala. They went and got some instructions, some guidelines, directions on how to reach her small village. And the relative they were consulting with looked at the car and said, I really advise you not to take that car. I don't think you'll make it. Well, tell Master to do something he couldn't do. Of course, then he had to do it. And so he said, well, we just, this automobile is from America. We have to introduce it to, the forest of Bengal. And so, according to Master and also to Richard Wright, they took off in the car, all loaded down with devotees, and they drove first through paddy fields. There were no paved roads. Bullock tracks where carts would travel. They crossed streams. They drove up sandy riverbeds. They even, in the autobiography of a yogi, chapter 46, Master said, the devotees riding in the car said, sir, we are pushing the car, and we should be riding in the car. And so the car at one point almost tipped over, fell off a cliff, and there was all kinds of adventures, and they finally reached the destination. Well, the story here is really the trip, because it was for intrepid adventurers. And I had a conversation with Richard Wright about this, and I had always wanted to ask him about this trip. And he laughed and he said, oh, you don't know the half of it. He said the car almost did not make it. And yet Master was always there saying, onward, onward. And so onward we went. And then he gave me my closing quote here. He said to me, obstacles and adverse conditions that would intimidate most people, Master would take them on with joyous enthusiasm. He had a sense of destiny that was larger than life. So there we are. Joyful enthusiasm, taking on adversity, greater than intrepid. First generation disciples were impressed by this, and these are part of their cherished memories. And so when you're reading in your guru's teachings about life, about enthusiasm, about success, about accomplishing anything you set out your mind to do, this is what's behind it. This sense of strong, confident resolve. It may seem impossible, but it's not. And we draw this from the soul. So facing adversity with joy, it's beyond intrepid, it's divinely charged. So let's start talking a little bit about how we can begin to have this experience ourselves. Have you ever walked into a group meditation or sat down to meditate, and before you meditated, you had a problem? You carried the problem into the meditation? And it was a real worry. It involved not only you, but it involved maybe your loved ones, some future issue that you haven't been able to solve. And you went into the meditation and you sat down, you really made an effort, and all of a sudden this kind of a profound stillness settled over you. And you could feel this healing peace flowing. The time passed very quickly. And at the end of the meditation, you got up and you walked out. The problem was still there, but the burden was gone. I think we've all had this experience. The problem is still there, but the burden is gone. This is the beginning of being spiritually intrepid. That is, we're not intimidated anymore. We don't yet have a solution. We don't know how the outcome is going to be. And yet, we are not worried about it because we have this comforting vibrational energy within us. This is what Master means when he says, the peace of my life is apart from everything going on around me. Each one of us had this experience at some point. And we always think, I want more of this. I want more of this. Problems are not problems if we're feeling that reassuring peace within. So the burden gets mystically replaced with a calm, reassuring, soothing strength. And this is the experience we want. So life imposes on us. We can't control that. But life should not intimidate us. And there's a difference. And even a little joy of God energizing from within lifts the burden. And this is something that we can cultivate. This is something that we can train ourselves into. Guruji says, your true self, being made in the image of God, is immortal. Guruji's talking about you. Your true self, being made in the image of God, is immortal. Right within your body is this immortality. You are dreaming delusions, dreams of weakness and frailty, and thus you do not see that behind you and within your soul is the everlasting, immutable power of God. He's clarifying for us the divine potential that each one of us possesses. And self-realization is the art and science of discovering this and experiencing it. And Guruji says that this inner joy of God is already ours. We just have to manifest it. How's this conversation? Is it compelling?
Yeah.
It's good thinking, isn't it? It's something that we can ponder and we can say, what is my true potential? Am I ready to accept that? Am I ready to achieve that? The stakes maybe seem higher than we can strive for, and yet the rewards are very real. And there's something that we have tasted. We have tasted the rewards. We know that they're there. That's why we are present here today. So this is something that we want to strive for. I had a conversation with our beloved Sri Dayamata a couple of days after 9/11, when the two towers at New York City Trade Center went down. She told me, she said, I've been praying for those departed souls. There were almost 3,000, I think. She said, I've been praying for their families. And Dayama once told me that when she prayed, it wasn't just for a few minutes. She spent hours radiating prayers. And then she read my mind. She said, my dear, do not think that because we live in Master's ashrams that we will be spared. Our ashram is part of this world, and we will have our share of hardship. Isn't this interesting? I had been thinking that, this probably wouldn't happen to us because we live in the ashram, but no. The ashram is part of the world, and we will have to endure. We want our children to be spared from the hardships of life, don't we? And our parents wanted the same for us. But planet Earth does not offer 100% smooth incarnation. It's just not in our contract. Haven't you read the fine print? Planet Earth does not offer a smooth incarnation. And even if we live smart, there are always going to be daunting challenges. We cannot escape them, not even in an ashram. They will come to us, and we will have to overcome them. And the big question here tonight is how? What kind of spirit will we have? What kind of attitude will we have? How will we prevail? A wise philosopher once said, one of my favorite quotes, you meet your destiny on the road you take to avoid it. That's a good one, isn't it? How many times we thought we had escaped, and yet we got caught. So life imposes on us, but it should not intimidate us. Even a little joy of God, energizing from within, lifts the burden and gives us the gift of intrepid. Our president, the esteemed Brother Chidananda, he has what I would call a valiant spirit. When challenging conditions arise, he doesn't back down. He's always looking for opportunity in adversity. And he's the first to ask all those around him, how can we turn these conditions to our advantage and advance Master's mission? This is valor that comes from the soul. Turning adversity into opportunity. And having the courage to know that we can do it even if in the moment we don't know how. This is something that we can practice. It's the only way to achieve it is to practice it and prove to ourselves that this is a divine law that works. So now for our last story. The world knows about Pacific Palisades fire in January of this year. And most of you know the amazing story of how Lake Shrine was spared, was saved from fire destruction. But there's a story that you haven't heard, and that's my story. I think you'll like it. January 5th of this year, 2025, our Master's birthday, was on a Sunday. And at Lake Shrine, we have a very diverse congregation. We have a core of very dedicated, heartfelt devotees who volunteer and support everything. And then we have a kind of a larger surrounding group that come and go. They're wonderful people, but they just come and enjoy the teachings. They like short meditations. But they had never experienced a commemoration service. So we have these evening commemorations that more than half the congregation has never experienced. And I said, it's time. Let's have commemoration as part of our Sunday service and invite everyone. And so we did. And we put it on our website, we put it on our socials. Come have a unique experience. We're celebrating the birthday of our founder and guru. You're all invited. I gave a Sunday service introducing, and then we set it up. We had a kirtan, we had flowers that we had for everybody, over 350 flowers, I think. And at the end of the Sunday service, I invited everyone. I said, queue up. You've got the prayers, we've got the flowers. Just come forward. And people started coming forward. And there was chanting going on, and it was all over the lake shrine. And people were coming forward. I was sitting there by the lectern, behind the harmonium, and I just saw the faces coming up. And many of them didn't know what they were doing. They had never made a devotional offering before. They had never offered a prayer in this way, but their faces were shining. And oftentimes they stood up and walked away, and there were tears. And the chanting was energetic, and it was very, very joyful. And this went on for about 2.5 hours. We recycled the flowers. I told the ushers, double the devotion. We could all feel it. There was great joy. And I took the joy from that ceremony to the ashram at the end of the day. It was still there. It was throbbing in my heart, this lightness, this strength, this uplifting force. It went into my meditation on Sunday evening, and it increased. Monday, it continued to increase. It didn't dissipate. I kept concentrating on it. I kept cultivating it. And then Tuesday, the fire. This is an interesting story, folks. Joy in the face of destruction. This is real life. I left the ashram. I was going to visit some people in the hospital in Beverly Hills. And I took my wallet and my phone. I left the ashram. I went to make the hospital visit, and when I came out, I saw columns of smoke coming up from the Malibu hills, and one of the monks called me and said, "Don't come back, we're evacuating." So I called up Hollywood Ashram, and I said, I got a problem. And they said, "Well, we'll get a room for you, come on over," and so I did. I showed up at the Hollywood Ashram with my wallet, my phone, clothes on my back, and this joy in my heart. I didn't know what it was all about, but I was holding on to the joy. I settled in. As a minister, I set up a emergency response team of very dedicated, selfless disciples, and we all went to work. And we worked some long hours, making sure that, devotees who lived in the Palisades and, had been evacuated, that they had a place to sleep at night, they had a place to go, they had some things that we could support them with, put together a network that was there to support. And this work went on 1 week, 2 weeks, and the joy was still in my heart. I was holding on to the joy. I was concentrating on it. I was cultivating it. Please don't leave me. And I continued with this work. We all continued to work together, and this joy continued. I didn't talk about it, but I felt it, and it was giving me strength. It was sustaining me. And then one night, about 2 a.m, I woke up. Where am I? I'm not at Lake Shrine. Where am I? Oh, I'm at Hollywood Ashram. Oh, there's a fire. Oh, there's been a lot of loss. There's a lot of suffering going on. And I started to go down the rabbit hole. This is a terrible situation. I should be really worried. There's a lot of things going wrong here. And then all of a sudden, I caught myself. Oh, joy of God, where are you? Oh, joy, where are you? And the heart was empty. And the feeling was dark. And I started to call. I said, Joy, joy of God, are you here? Where are you? And I sat up in bed and I started to meditate and say, calling on joy. And then, I'm here. I'm here. It was a weak little voice. I'm here. And I caught joy, grow, joy, cultivate, joy increase. And it started to increase, and it was responding to my petition. And then the joy came flooding back. And it was there, and it was strong. But I had to summon it. It had disappeared somehow overnight. Joy had come, joy had gone, and I was left alone. And then I called, and it returned. And I found myself that night chanting on the harmonium, "Oh, life is sweet, death a dream. Joy is sweet, sorrow a dream, when thy song flows through me." It's a good story, isn't it? Joy in the face of devastation. You know, we think about it objectively, and it's asking too much. And we say, "Oh, Lord, why do you do this to us?" But you experience it. And the experience is the joy. And the sorrow is the dream. And you realize the whole purpose of your life is for that joy. And devotees began saying to me, "Brother G, we know of your personal loss, yet you are so busy serving others. What is your secret?" And I'll let Master answer for me. From Metaphysical Meditations, it's titled, "Find God in Joy." Guruji says, no matter what causes it, whenever a little bubble of joy appears in your invisible sea of consciousness, take hold of it and keep expanding it. Meditate on it and it will grow larger. Watch not the limitations of the little bubble of your joy, but keep expanding it until it grows bigger and bigger. Keep puffing at it with the breath of concentration from within until it spreads all over the ocean of infinity in your consciousness. Keep puffing at the bubble of joy until it breaks its confining walls and becomes the sea of joy. So we complain and we say, "Oh, I don't have the great joy of God." But these words are not only inspiration, they are also instruction. Whenever a little bubble of joy appears, Master's speaking to us where we live right now. We don't have command over the joy of God. We even question, can we behold it? Can we feel it? And he's saying, yes, it will come as a little bubble. Whenever a little bubble of joy appears, take hold of it. Expand it by concentrating on it. Not only in meditation, also in activity. All the time. This is our goal. We want this all the time. That's why we're here. But it seems to be beyond our reach because the world is so imposing. But if we know and we believe that the joy of God is far more powerful, once we begin to cultivate it, then there's a new hope. So in activity as well as in meditation, choose joy. We've got a whole number of priorities on our mental menu, Put joy on the menu and choose it. Choose it. Your performance improves, your understanding improves, intuition grows and develops. You're a better person. You can function better than ever before. You're full of compassion. You're giving hope, you're not giving fear. You can serve better when joy is aroused within you. So whenever the mind is free, whenever you can focus on it, choose joy and keep choosing it. So wait for a little moment of inspiration. I call them sacred moments. And grab onto it, capture it, and then concentrate on it and cultivate it. You will see that this works. This works. And a little joy that you might let pass by and become only a memory, a little joy becomes something real and sustainable. And here's a secret. This inner joy of God seems to come and go. It's really your attention that comes and goes. The joy remains, it's always there. It's the attention that fluctuates. So we're training our consciousness to be able to capture and hold the joy of God. So to keep the inner joy of God present with you, the inner awareness must become constant. It's like the needle of the compass. Whichever way you turn, you never lose track of north. And I'm going to quote Guruji's inspiration from Whispers from Eternity called, O Eternal Polaris. This is one of my favorites. He says, O eternal Polaris, where'er I roam, the magnetic needle of my mind compass ever and ever points to thee. Buffeted by gusts of chance, or drenched by rains of misfortune, I nevertheless direct my mind always toward thee. The dove of my love, winging through clouds of bewilderment, storms of distractions, and whirlwinds of destiny, yet will infallibly discover the way to thee. That's very real, isn't it? Clouds of bewilderment, storms of distraction, isn't that your life? That's our life. That's what planet Earth has to offer us. We feel like we're winging through clouds of bewilderment. Guruji is building that into the instruction. He's saying, expect it. It's only a distraction. Don't give it any more credit than that. I know it arouses fear. I know it arouses anxiety, not only for us and our loved ones, but if we are going to achieve this high level of spiritual intrepid, this is the approach we want to take. And we want to prove that the joy of God can not only survive, it can thrive in the face of adversity. So if we want to unlock our full soul potential, here's some steps. Accept the truth. God's joy is yours now. Cultivate receptivity through meditation. Scientific meditation, it awakens this potential. Capture the inner inspirations as they occur, no matter how small. And then patiently train yourself to hold on to them and expand them in your heart. And here's the magic. Gradually, the joy of God within you will become more powerful than the dream drama around you. And then you realize life is sweet and death a dream. Joy is sweet, sorrow a dream, when thy song flows through me. So that's the lesson tonight. And let's chant. When thy song flows through me, my Lord, and thy song flows through me. Oh, life is sweet and death a dream. Oh, life is sweet and death a dream. Flows through me, my Lord, and thy song flows through me. Then joy is sweet, sorrow a dream. Oh, joy is sweet, sorrow a dream. Oh, life is sweet and death a dream. Oh, life is sweet and death a dream. When thy song flows through me, my Lord, and thy song flows through me. Oh, joy is sweet, sorrow a dream. Oh, joy is sweet, sorrow a dream. When thy song flows through me, my Lord, and thy song flows through me. Oh, life is sweet and death a dream. Oh, life is sweet and death a dream. When thy song flows through me, my Lord, and thy song flows through me. Oh, joy is sweet, sorrow a dream. Oh, joy is sweet, sorrow a dream. When thy song flows through me, my Lord, and thy song flows through me. When thy song flows through me, my Lord, and thy song flows And draw a slow, gentle, inhaling breath. Exhale gently with a sigh. We are all together of one heart, one mind, one purpose, one divine aspiration. Feel the sacredness of this moment together. Feel gratitude in your heart for the gift of this week together. Draw a slow, gentle, inhaling breath. Exhale with a sigh. Feel the bubble of inspiration, a little bubble of joy. Feel that now. It makes you want to cry. This is the joy of God beginning to manifest within you. Concentrate upon it. Feel it beginning to expand. Feel it growing stronger. There, can you feel it now? It's responding to your call. Now we want to take this little bubble of joy and cultivate it. Hold on to it. Treasure it as the sacred presence of God within you. And promise yourself that you will not let it go. Om. Peace.